Good evening, everyone. I'm Jake Mangus, President and CEO of the Reading Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of the Chamber and its Board of Directors, I welcome all of you this evening to the Candidates Forum for Shasta County District 1 Supervisor here at the ballroom of the Sheraton Hotel. As I mentioned, I'd like to welcome those listening on KCNR on the radio and through the audio live stream. Carl Bott tells me the recording of the broadcast will be made available on kcnr1460.com. Ferris Wheel Films is also with us this evening, recording the forum to be shared with a broader audience later this month through the Chamber's digital outreach. Stay connected to the Reading Chamber of Commerce on social media. That would be on Facebook and Instagram primarily for updates, and be sure to subscribe to our e-newsletter at readingchamber.com. The Reading Chamber of Commerce is an association of businesses organized to improve the business climate and contribute to the economic vitality of its membership and the greater Reading area. The Chamber is a convener of leaders and influencers, a catalyst for business growth, and a champion for a stronger community. One of the key ways we carry out our mission is through business advocacy and education. Recently, the Chamber pivoted in response to the results of a recent survey of our membership to discontinue the practice of endorsing candidates and funding candidate campaigns. Our members told us clearly that they want information that they can trust, but they don't need us to tell them how to vote. In that spirit, tonight we are connecting our business community and the greater community with the candidates, asking questions that have come from the members of the Chamber. It's our hope that you will have a better idea of where each candidate stands on the business issues of greatest importance to you. We are experimenting with the follow-up survey and link to the forum video, which will ask Chamber members to watch the video and score the candidates on a scale of 1 to 10 on how well they answered each question. We plan to release an infographic with those results, including how many people responded to the survey, as food for thought. I hope you had an opportunity to visit with our candidates during the meet and greet time. As their schedule allows, I'm sure that this evening's participants would be happy to visit with you and address any unanswered questions you may have following the forum. The format for this evening's forum is as follows. There will be a total of 8 questions. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to answer each question. The time will begin once the question is asked, and I'm happy to repeat the question as needed. Other than the first and last question, there will also be time for each candidate to offer a 1-minute rebuttal or follow-up comment should they wish to do so. Erin Hull is with us tonight. She is the Chamber's VP of Marketing and Communications, and tonight she's the official timekeeper. When your time is up, she will ring the bell like this. Very good. So the message is to please respect the bell. It will allow us to stay on schedule this evening and keep equal opportunity to each candidate. Additionally, Erin will be giving each of you a 15-second warning so that you'll be prepared for that bell to ring. Candidates drew from some official Post-it notes to decide the answer rotation. So the answer rotation for the first question will be Kevin Pry first, and then second is Aaron Resner, and third, Kimberly Vollmers, and then we'll change that order as we move along. It's kind of the hardest job I have tonight, I think, so you can help me with that. Now it's my privilege to introduce the candidates, which I sort of did, but officially I want to do it now in alphabetical order. Please join me in welcoming Kevin Cry, businessman, teacher, and coach. Next, Aaron Resner, local business owner. And Kimberly Vollmers, wife, mother, and educator. In addition to information that we have shared with you tonight, very briefly, and also information available at the candidates' tables, you can find information on the candidates by Googling Shasta County elections. That'll take you to that, in that search result, Shasta County elections website. You can click on that and get all of the information, or at least additional information, on the candidates, including their candidate statements and links to their campaign websites. You can also follow them on social media and search for them by name. With that, we will begin with opening remarks. So we're going to begin with Kevin Cry, with Mr. Cry. So the question that you might want to consider answering with these open remarks, which is basically a getting to know you for the group, and a warm-up question, let's say. What do you want the business community to know about you? And how will you improve the business climate in Shasta County? You'll have 2 minutes to answer.
Well, thank you, Jake. Appreciate you guys being here. My name's Kevin Cry. I moved here in the late 70s with my family. My father and mother moved us here to get rid of crime and the bad air. So here we are in the late 70s. I'm a graduate of Anderson High School, class of 94. Go Cubs. I also went to Shasta College and graduated from Simpson University in 99. I have a beautiful wife. Super, super blessed, lucky. Sarah's here tonight, so thank you, Sarah, for being here. She's missing soccer practice, volleyball, everything else. And I got to tell you, when we got married in 1999, we set out to create a legacy and a family. Our oldest is 18. She's a freshman at Grand Canyon University playing rugby. We have an 8th grade daughter and a 4th grade son. Vocationally, I got to tell you, I've done a lot. As an educator and a coach, I absolutely love kids, and I've done everything pretty much vocationally around kids. I own the Ninja Coalition gym, brick and mortar here. I also own the Ninja Coalition Challenge course, which we travel globally and put on events. If you're familiar, we did it during the car fire. We were set up for about 18 days during that time. I'm also a talent agent, so I represent Olympians, pro athletes, the season 1 winner of The Voice, Javier Colon, and many others. So how does this all tie into the business community? I've started all these things from the ground up, and it's messy, and business is tough, especially when your business was shut down and others remained open. I'll tell you, I'll fight for this county, I'll fight for the business community, because I'm one of you. I'm the little guy that keeps working, and when people say we can't recruit talent here in Shasta County, I say garbage, because I represent some of the best athletes in the world, and I do it from here in Redding. So why am I running? I want to clean up Shasta County. I'm tired of not going to the parks. I'm tired of not being able, and there's the dinner bell.
Thank you,
Aaron.
That was very, very good job respecting
I'm just
the
excited.
bell. I'm happy to repeat the question to any of you should you like me to do that. Okay, then Ms. Resner, you've got 2 minutes.
Everyone. Oh, there we go. Welcome. Thank you so much to the Chamber for hosting this forum. I'm really excited to be here. You obviously are all very excited and enthusiastic and ready to be here. My name is Erin Resner, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background about me. I am a wife, a business owner, a mother of 4. I'm the former mayor of Redding and a current member of the Redding City Council. I'm running for Shasta County District 1 Supervisor because I have the necessary skills and experience to steward what the county needs to do really well. And in all honesty, Kevin's really right. Kevin's right. It takes a lot of work. And after 17 years and an impeccable record, we've done a really good job. I know what it's like to sleep on the floor when you're attempting to make ends meet. I'm so sorry, ma'am. If you could, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to do the hard work. I know what it's like to balance being a mother and to balance running a business. I know what it's like to balance being a mother, to balance being a business, and to balance being an elected official, and to do it with class and to do it with decorum. I think that anybody who has worked with me would tell you that the thing that they're most impressed by is that even when we disagree, that I am respectful and that I get things done. The thing that I do best is that I get people around the table and we collaborate. And I think that if you would
15
actually,
seconds.
thank you, if you would actually do your homework and read the record, you would find that I've done an incredible job and all of my accomplishments speak for themselves. Thank you so much.
Ms. Vollmers,
Thank you.
2 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kimberly Vollmers, and I believe that as a supervisor, how I would lend to the business community would be that I have a perspective from being an employee. This is something that is lacking, I think, sometimes in the sense of leadership. It's not always from the top to the bottom. Sometimes it can be from the bottom to the top, so that everyone has a perspective that is balanced and wholesome and full. And I grew up in Reading, and I love this community. I love Shasta County from the nature, and the growth that we've seen in the last 10 years has been tremendous compared to the growth beforehand, living here most of my life. And I, as well, like Erin, I'm a mother of 4, and I love being a mom. And what I've done for the last 10 years is dedicate either being pregnant or having babies, like little babies. And it's a lot of work, and everyone who's had a child knows how much work that can be. And I used to say, I'm just a mom. But I can tell you that something that I wholeheartedly believe in is that the greatest minority is the individual. That's a quote by Ayn Rand, by the way. And the fact that there's so many people who have watched maybe hopeful and not just disenchanted and not angry and not disconnected, but they understand what's going on and they don't know where they fit. And that is the voice that I carry for this community. I love working with the public, and I've done that most of my life when I did work before I dedicated my time to being a mother. My husband works out of town every day during the week.
15 seconds.
Thank you. So being like a quasi single mother, I have learned a lot about balance and creating community for my children and the extension of their community through mothers and other kids. And so thank you all for being here and listening to all of us tonight.
So the order for this one will be Ms. Resner, Ms. Vollmers, and Mr. Cry. Question 2. It'll be a 2-minute question, 2-minute answer opportunity, followed by a 1-minute rebuttal or a follow-up if you'd like. So the question is this. California has made affordable housing a priority for all communities throughout the state. Do you support affordable housing efforts? And if so, where should the housing go in Shasta County?
Thank you for that question. I'm really excited about answering those questions because I really care about talking about housing. Today, I was at the ribbon cutting for the Center of Hope, which is a perfect example of merging nonprofits and private and public sponsorships. I also, while I was mayor, there were 168 income qualifying housing units that came up, and we recently on the council just approved 4 projects for March. That includes 128 units and 40 extra units that are income qualifying seniors. I think that one of our biggest problems, and I can tell you in working with the crisis response team, is that one of our most difficult things is that when we are attempting to get homeless folks off of the street is to get them into some sort of transitional housing. It's not a housing first sort of method. It is an aspect of that we need wraparound services, and that's the way in which that we differentiate between the people who need a hand up and the people who need a hand out. And I'm really, really proud. That time frame that I was mayor was the largest amount of income qualifying housing that the city of Reading has ever done. And I'm proud of the councils that have come prior to myself who have said we need affordable housing within Reading. And in all honesty, affordable housing doesn't look like what it used to look like. Affordable housing looks like our average sort of townhome or apartment or any of those sort of things. So I firmly believe that we could put income qualifying housing with wraparound services anywhere within the city of Reading.
Thank you. Ms. Vollmers.
I don't have the details, but I agree It's such an essential part of growth in the community and helping people who need affordable housing. I would like affordable housing myself. It's not necessarily the people who are homeless. It's everyday people like me whose husband works every day and has a decent income, that there is no affordable housing sometimes, because what you would like to live in does not exist. What we've just gone through with the pandemic caused a lot of people to shift their location from other locations throughout the state and come here and buy up property and buy up housing at a rate that people that live here and work here cannot afford. And it's been a long time since we've experienced that here at the rate that we just went through. And I was trying to buy a house in the last year, and so I experienced that myself. So looking at it from a point of view of someone who needs resources and needs it to be something for growth, I would hope that the county would continue to support the building district and other contractors that come in and would like to build. That's a way that we could, as supervisors, help and I guess encourage growth, is to not stand in the way and make it easy for the people who bring their money here and would like to build. So that's what I would do.
Thank you. Mr. Cry.
Just Kevin is fine. So my father's not here. For me, the one thing about affordable housing, we have to learn to live within our budget and our means here in Shasta County. I am all for affordable housing and all these wraparound services Ms. Resner talks about, but I would also love to have the New York Yankees relocate to Redding, California. That's not going to happen. We have to take a tough fiscal look at where we spend our money. And I'm not so much about spending money, I'm about investing money in terms of people and our community. Again, housing, we absolutely have to have it, but we have to run everything through the veil and the colander of what's fiscally responsible. Our federal government is printing money. When Ms. Resner became the mayor, Redding had a budget surplus of $5 million. In the cycle of 20 and 21, it was at a $1.7 million deficit. In 22 and 23, she voted a budget that is a $3.2 million deficit. That's the gift that keeps on giving, ladies and gentlemen. We have to be fiscally responsible with everything we do, housing included.
So, Ms. Resner, this is your opportunity for a 1-minute rebuttal.
Thanks. I wasn't sure if I was going to get a ding or any of those sort of things. A couple of things to point out. Income qualifying housing is also something that allows market rate to be competitive. I think that anybody who understands markets understands the actual just supply and demand that Ms. Volmers was discussing, is that we have limited resources here. And when we do these sort of partnerships, it does allow the market rate to be more competitive. I also think that we have limited resources here. And I am going to, I heard you say something that is just, it's so inaccurate. It is so inaccurate. In fact, we were doing so well that we had an additional 5% to put into reserves, which is the most amount of money that we have had in savings ever.
15 seconds.
Ms. Volmers, do you have anything further to say on this
I'll
question?
pass.
Okay. We'll pass it to Kevin, Mr. Cry.
Kevin, I know your father. So the thing for me is, I'll tell you what, Jake, let's just move on to the next question. Yeah, I mean, for me, like this is so much more than an office. This is about Shasta County and it forever being gone. And I don't have notes. I'm not just speaking from my heart, I'm speaking from fact. I don't have to regurgitate factoids that I wrote down. People here, we're going to actually, I'm launching a site, Whistleblower Redding and whistleblowershasta.com, and all this is going to be on it because the veil of transparency is going to be lifted. Because I'll tell you who's getting these deals are contractors and other people that are in the social elite. And the social elite that has ran Reading for what I now understand 30, 40 years is coming to an end.
Moving to question 3. The order of answers on this one will be Ms. Vollmers, Mr. Cry, and Ms. Resner. I'm going to stick to it. I have to. So the question to Ms. Vollmers is as follows. Do you support the Wagon Wheel of Justice proposal? And if you do, how would the county finance the capital construction and the ongoing operating expense? You have 2 minutes.
Plainly, I do support a shift in how the jail is run, and I think that other departments and entities that help people not have the recidivism rate the way that it is in our jail and in the state, a change definitely needs to occur. So Sheriff Johnson and the CAO and everyone else, who their plan put together was presented the other night for anyone who wasn't there at the Board of Supervisors meeting. And so they did a presentation to show us the plan is like a wagon wheel where services would be provided in one location, whether it be for mental health and different types of things that the person would need. So if they have drug addiction and they're not necessarily a criminal based on their wanting to be evil, let's say, they would have the resources there in one location. And one thing that I would say that sticks out to me that I think that there is power in doing that for finance and saving money is that when you walk through downtown, entities that serve the public that may cross people that would be jailed at some point in time in their life, they're spread out all over the place. And so whether or not it is favored because you think it's going to cost too much money, I've lived here so much of my life, it is about time. It should have been done a long time ago. And so I really cannot say enough that it definitely needs to happen. As far as where the money is going to come from, they have a portion of the budget to begin their project, and it's not a pie in the sky, and it's not going to be magic that it happens. And the way that the economy is going, it's frightful. But when the economy gets tanked, so does crime go up. So there's nothing that I would do, thank you, to ever stand in the way to let that progress begin, because my kids are going to live here and grow up here. And so I do not want people on the street that need help or need to be incarcerated.
Thank you. 2 minutes to Mr. Cry.
So we can't afford it. Early estimates put it at like $300 million. And again, I'm going to go right back, and it might even be closer to $500 million. I'm going to go back to bringing the New York Yankees here. Let's just throw anything out there. Here's the thing. For me, when it comes to services, it's really simple. You know, in Shasta County, you've got a choice. I mean, we've decriminalized crime. So people have to stop breaking the law because we've made it where it's catch and release. Catch and release used to be you caught your limit on the lake, you got to go home. Now it's we catch you and we release you right away as a criminal. So here's your choice. You got to stop breaking the law. If you don't want to break the law, that's okay. But, well, let me back up. When it comes to people that need help, we got to help them because there are people on the street that absolutely need help. And we got to cut down on the bureaucracy and the bloated government to get them that help. Get them help quicker. And I know we can do that. Our budget's $300 million plus. After that, you got to stop breaking the law. Because if you don't want to stop breaking the law and you don't want to get help because we can't make you help, we can't make you get help, then you're going to have to move. Because here's the reality. If you don't want to get help and you need help and you break the law, but you don't want to move and you want to do it here, we're going to jail you. We got to build a jail. And the jail doesn't have to be a $150 million Starship Enterprise. We can retrofit some of what we have. There are grants that we've taken money and actually sent the money back in the past. We'll get that money back. And then we can start working on the services and the wagon wheel and all the pie in the sky when we can afford it. We cannot bankrupt our county.
Thank you. Ms. Resner.
Thanks so much, Jake. I would just like to acknowledge that I have notes because I think that it's important that we discuss facts and that I stay on point in terms of money and that I don't put out inaccuracies. That being said, last year, I believe that it's roughly $14 million that the county set aside for a project such as this. I think that the Santa Barbara structure that the sheriff has molded and the executive team has molded is something that I think is extremely doable. And I think that there are lots of opportunities for us. I understand that we cannot rely on the state to fix our problems, but I will gladly take the tax dollars that our people pay to the state back to do something to fix the problems here. Also, I think that it's extremely important that Mr. Cry acknowledge that Prop 47 and 57 dramatically changed the dynamic of this state, and there are rules and regulation and laws voted in by the people that dictate that. That's why people like myself have sat on committees and policy committees and lobbied the state to figure out why, and I'd love to know why it is that my fellow candidate, why they think that it failed, but why it is that Prop 20 failed. I have sat down with 40 other elected officials across the state to lobby the Assembly and the Senate to figure out how it is that we roll back Prop 47 and 57. It's also why the City Council wrote a letter to support Assemblyman Kiley in his repeal of these propositions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Ms. Vollmers?
No.
Okay, then we will give Mr. Cry the opportunity for 1 minute additional comment.
Well, it's all well and good when we talk about the Prop 47, but if we have more jail beds, then we can still jail individuals that continually break the law. On a ride-along that I was on last week, there was a gentleman had been arrested 24 times since January 1st. It was his 24th arrest. So if you total up the amount of money spent on that one individual, 24 arrests in 90 days. And those were nonviolent offenses. And in terms of facts, and this is the beauty of the Google machine and internet, there's 1,000 cameras out there. You can verify this stuff. And I encourage you, do your own research. Don't listen to any three of us up here.
15 seconds.
Vet it, because half of what you probably hear will not be true. So vet it. I was asleep. I'm asleep no more.
Thank you. Ms. Resner, would you like to utilize your additional minute?
Yeah, I am so excited, Kevin, that you brought up your ride-along. I think that it is extremely important for the general public to understand that you compromised a criminal investigation of a man that RPD spent hours with. And you continue to do that by posting online. And I think that that is the exact reason why you are not qualified to be on the board of supervisors. Because anybody who has sat in those seats understand that it is our job to support law enforcement, and that means the DA's office and the patrol. And you should have known better, and you do know better.
What we're going to do is we'll give you an opportunity to respond to that in the next question, just so that we can keep it fair time-wise. So you have the first opportunity to answer, Mr. Cry, this fourth question.
Yep.
And again, what you choose to do with the time is up to you, each of you up there. So the question is this. A common concern among business owners and developers is that the resource management department could be improved. What challenges face the resource management department, and what specific changes would you support? You have 2 minutes.
So I could use it for either, but I want to stick to the issues because the most important thing is we have to fix Shasta County. But I want to make sure I say there is no jeopardizing a criminal investigation, as I've talked with Chief Schuler multiple times over the process, and I can guarantee you that person, if we don't convict that guy who has been in prison 31 years or 31 years over the course of jail and prison, we need a new DA because that individual is going to prison. And the transparency we deserve as a county, and I'll touch into this, is as a society, we have no idea what's going on. Closed sessions and most of the pork that they shove into budgets, until we can really crack open in a forensic audit way of where this money is going, it would be ignorant to say that we understand every single dollar in that department. What I know is there's a lot to trim. and there's a lot of accountability with the bloated budget we currently have.
Thank you. Ms. Resner is up next. And I'm happy to repeat questions.
Yeah,
if
could you
need.
repeat the question one more time?
And the time will not begin until the question has been read. A common concern among business owners and developers is that the resource management department could be improved. What challenges face the resource management department, and what specific changes would you support?
I think that one of the largest changes and problems that they have is that there's not enough staff. Historically, we have moved those departments outside of the general fund so that we could be extremely lean, but we have a lot of development happening, which is very exciting. However, I think that the workload is too large. And I think one of the dangers of what is currently going on is that we need people to do the actual work. We need people within there who are educated enough to do the actual work, to be checking, to making sure that we're following laws and that buildings are being built in an appropriate and safe sort of manner. However, there's a low morale at the moment within city staff, or within county staff. I'm sorry. City staff actually is really excited. It's not actually. They really like working for us and they write us letters, but thank you. That being said, within county staff, and there is the part that is very concerning to me is that there are real serious projects like a jail, like a public safety campus, like mental health, like homelessness that we actually need to get done. But if we don't have the bodies to do that, we can't turn around plan checks. We can't turn around projects. And if every day we're just shooting off like a shotgun rather than taking aim, we are not going to be able to get some actual work done. And so I would love to support staff so that we can come up with ideas and hand them those ideas, and then they can champion them to do the actual work, but they need support. They don't need to be pulled down. Also, I'm not sure if I have more time, but I think that it's very funny to say that you care about the budget, but you would like to spend $2 million on a forensic audit.
Check out your notes.
I think that it's important to be factual. You can say whatever it is that you want, but I think that it is really important to be factual, which is why I will continue to reference my notes.
Thank you. Ms. Vollmers, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So this is where I think that my skill set and my experience would be serve the county very well, because I've been in different companies and watched the difference of where leadership changes the entire atmosphere. In my family, just as a mother and as a wife and as a person in community, I believe in atmosphere wholeheartedly, that it changes everything. I've worked places where one person can walk in the room and the entire air is deflated. We all know what that feels like. And so I think that having a perspective where people trust you and they want to believe in what they're doing, you have to believe in what you're doing. And you have to have foresight to know that not every day is going to be rainbows and puppies and butterflies, but the hard work is where things can change and shift, and you make an impact on the days that they have that really hard things are going on, or people are very cruel. People can be cruel. So I think that the jobs that I've had and the experience that I've had and just my love for people would be that I know that nothing can serve the community in Shasta County unless the people who are working in those departments are happy. And I've watched different entities. The way that they even share on social media is something that is fun and inspiring to watch, that they put the time in to serve the people that work with them. And something I believe in also is to not detach and just stay a manager. Something that I see, and I worked for the county, is that people get detached quickly and frequently, and then they just try to manage and expect outcomes from people.
15 seconds.
Thank you. Without spending time with them continually to see how it is and what is going on. So if they're short-staffed, there's resourceful ways to work together to get things done as a unit and carry the weight together.
Thank you. Mr. Cry, you have a minute.
Yes, so the $2 million forensic budget, I mean, that's a bargain, because if that's what it costs, great. If it costs twice as much as that, great. Because it's not spending money, it's investing. And if we don't know where we've been, where we've truly been, how are we ever going to set a course to know where we can go? And instead of just piling money, piling jobs, piling it on, and then the taxpayers are left with $1 billion debt and deficit. And that's where it's headed, and it's crazy to me.
And now it's Ms. Resner's turn. And you have 1 minute if you'd like to add more.
I think it's just important to note that every year a government entity is required to do an audit. So if you would like to read through that, you're more than welcome to, because it's published publicly.
Thank you. And now to Ms. Vollmers for a minute more.
Thank you. I was going to say somewhat of the same thing, is that if there was human resources, a county position to communicate that to the public, because I think what's being communicated is that the public is unaware of how the money is being spent down to the penny. And so the responsibility then is for the supervisors to stand and understand that it's not being communicated well. So if it is something that you have to go seek out, I know, because my job, self-proclaimed job, constantly is to educate people around me of what is going on in the county and what is going on in the city, because most people want the synopsis. They want the short version. They want you to tell them what happened in a 5-hour meeting in less than 5 minutes. So the job of the county now is to make it
15 seconds.
understandable and palatable by the community so that they trust their leadership and they trust the government.
Thank you. And I know I mentioned this, I think I mentioned this before, that remember, these questions come to us inspired by the results of a recent member survey that we conducted of the chamber membership. So with that, we move on to the fifth question. The order of answer in this one is Ms. Resner, Ms. Vollmers, and then Mr. Cry. So to Ms. Resner, homelessness and mental illness continue to plague the state and the county of Shasta. As a supervisor, how would you address these problems? And what is the role of the county of Shasta in mitigating them? You have 2 minutes.
Thanks, Jake. I really love talking about this topic specifically. While I was mayor, the council put together, along with the chief, the crisis intervention response team. And for an extremely long time, we have needed a team such as this to go out on mental health calls. That team is a group of officers who will go out in plain clothes and they respond with hill country. They're also supposed to be responding with the county, but the county has been limited on resources and the ability to also engage in that collaboration. It is a beautiful collaboration between the city, between hill country, and between the county, but the county needs more resources in order to engage. But I would love for us to get into these sort of programs, because there have probably been 100 repeat calls for service that we have been able to go out and tackle. And it takes, on average, 8 interactions with somebody who is in a crisis situation like that in order to get them into treatment so that we can actually solve those problems. So I would love to see the county engage more in those sort of situations, and to couple those and maybe even work out an MOU with the city, who's doing some incredible stuff in regards to micro shelter campuses and wraparound services, so that we can partner together. I would love to see Redding and Anderson and Shasta Lake and the county rally around this and get some actual work done, because I think that the city has made some real strides and the county's been very supportive, but I would love to get us there quicker.
Thank you. Ms. Vollmers.
Did you say what could they do, what should they do, or what
I can
can they
reread.
do?
Want me to read it again?
Yeah.
Okay. Homelessness and mental illness continue to plague the state and the county of Shasta. As a supervisor, how would you address these problems? And what is the role of the county of Shasta in mitigating them?
The role of the county of Shasta. The other day, I'm driving down Cypress, and I hit the four corners where Shell now, Exxon Valero on the corner in Jack in the Box, and there's a woman with a blanket wrapped around her with a crack pipe sticking out of her mouth. I, as a regular person, don't even know what to do when I see that. So to me, a person in the middle of the day, by the way, as a regular person, not having it communicated from the county, from the city, from law enforcement, what does a person do? What do you do? I think the county's role should absolutely be to educate the general public of what you can do, because there's a gap that exists between helping people who need services and the people that are impacted, maybe with things being stolen from them, that you can't call 911 in a moment like that. That's not what that's for, and nothing's going to happen immediately. So the continuum of care that's been established by entities in our county, I think that there's that gap that I mentioned. It's not connecting. People don't know how to get them connected. And until there is a fluid way for people to have less than 8 encounters before they're helped, I think that we just need to continue to support the things that exist and then continue to connect them so that we have a unified system that does not right now exist.
Thank you. Mr. Cry, same question.
I'll start with a number, 13. The city of Reading on the U.S. crime index is at a 13. 1, right, is the most unsafe, and 100 is the safest. That means 87% of the cities in the United States are safer than Redding, California. That is appalling. I'll give you another number, 8, that one of the candidates just said, but I'll give you another one, 7. What happens if on that 7th interaction, someone creates a violent felony, a possible murder? That's all well and good that it takes 8 on average to get somebody into treatment. But what if that 7th infraction is a severe violent crime against you? What if it's someone stealing your truck and you need that to go to work the next day? These are facts we have to talk about. And when we talk about more programs, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The reason we have this utopia of homeless is because we have all these programs. There is no accountability. So guess what? We can build more parks, and then we can have another place that we can't take our kids, our grandkids, or even ourselves, because that's what's happening. Our county is being overrun, and everybody says we can fix it with money. Guess what? No, we can't. We can work harder with our kids when they're young, invest in our community, in the kids so they don't become part of the criminal justice system and end up on the streets. I already said it with the whole spinner wheel or the wagon wheel or the Ferris wheel, whatever it was. My approach is very simple. We have to streamline the bureaucracy of helping people that need it. But if they don't want help, we can't make them get help. But they can't stay in Shasta County and continue to break the law, because if they will, they need to be incarcerated.
Thank you. Ms. Resner, you have an opportunity for a minute of additional comment.
I would simply like to say that the county has hired a new PIO, and I think that taking stride from what it is that the communications team has built at the city would be a really, really exciting way for the county to be engaged and for the county to do a better job of engaging the public. And I think that that's really important. I'm sorry, did I hear you say no parks, no programs, no support, no wraparound services, but you would like, gosh, it's so interesting. You say that we can't force people in, which is what I'm saying, and it takes 8 interactions. It takes 8 interactions in order to convince people that they need to get into care, which is also why medical assisted treatment and all programs that were put forward in the Wagon Wheel are important, because it takes all of those programs collaborating together to move us ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Vollmers, 1 minute.
Yeah, anytime I hear someone say that services are not the answer, I think that they maybe haven't had a person that they love need those services. It is not It is not foreigners. It is not people that don't live here. It is not daughters and mothers and sons that are not committing crime. It is not people that we don't know and don't love that are not addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol, and doing things that land them in those situations. We must look at it from a perspective of humanity. Even people who are incarcerated and doing negative things because they're hurting people are humans. So
15 seconds.
I absolutely think that the unity from the county, the leadership perspective in our community, if they went after it from a perspective to heal the people here, that is what protects our children. That is something that's going to be absolutely necessary.
Thank you. Mr. Cry, 1 minute.
All right, so Mom, I'm gonna go there. So that's interesting. My brother, 2015, August 28th, died on his motorcycle running from the police in Palo Cedro. Went through a fence, hit a tree, broke his neck. Sorry, Mom. When people say I don't understand, that's a joke. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I love my brother. I'm now helping raise my nephew, his son, who's an 8th grader. Don't tell me I don't understand about services and people that need it. He was in and out of prison. He was a good guy, made bad choices. He had opportunities for help. We will get people like Casey Cry the opportunity for help, but we will not condone and support bad behavior that takes away from all of your safety and your way of life in Shasta County.
Thank you. Hey, let's give a round of applause to this kind gentleman. Thank you, sir. We're moving to question 6, and the order of answer on this one is Ms. Vollmers, Mr. Cry, and then Ms. Resner. So, to Ms. Vollmers, this is a long one, bear with me. Inflation and the rising cost of goods was identified as having an effect on more than 93% of those who responded to the recent chamber membership survey. 2/3 of the respondents say attracting and retaining employees has had an effect on their business. Businesses and government agencies both struggle with employee recruitment in Shasta County. What would you do to attract talented professionals to fill county positions? And how would you keep current top performers? How would you increase the morale of the staff at the county? 2 minutes.
I'll start with something that may seem abstract and a little bit expected maybe, that I would continue to support that there are no mandates in the county for masking, because I think that part of the hiring issue is putting mandates on people who don't want to comply to them. So it narrows your ability to hire people and keep people in a constraint where they don't want to be in that atmosphere anymore. And I think that as we go forward out of the norm of the pandemic, things that people quickly became so accustomed to, it looks different. And I think that retaining employees is an atmosphere within the business itself. I don't think that there's anything that a supervisor can do for that. But as far as the resources, it's not going to get better before it gets worse. So I think that something that we could do from a county perspective is become a resource to work together so that we know what is local and what we can be as a resource to one another, even in the extended other counties that neighbor us. Because I think that we have a lot of resources in Northern California as a whole. So to tie that together and make it something that's known so that we're not going beyond that to where we would normally use a provider or supplier that comes from out of state potentially, but to keep it local as much as possible.
Thank you. Mr. Cry.
Can you read it to me one more time?
I was thinking, okay, I'm ready. I did this to myself. All right, here we go. Inflation and the rising cost of goods was identified as having an effect on more than 93% of those who responded to the recent chamber membership survey. And 2/3 of the respondents say attracting and retaining employees also had an effect on their business. Businesses and government agencies both struggle with employee recruitment in Shasta County. What would you do to attract talented professionals to fill county positions, and how would you keep current top performers? How would you increase the morale of the staff at the county?
That's a great question. So one thing I won't do is I won't apologize for Shasta County and grovel like we're lucky to get talented people here. This is a great place to raise your family. I think a lot of times people feel like they have to talk somebody into coming here. I don't take that approach. I have a vocation as an agent working with Nike, the Olympics, American Ninja Warrior, and a ton of other multi-million, almost billion-dollar organizations. Recruiting people to come to a great county like Shasta, I think that's really easy. And when it comes to retention, I think people want to be in the environment that you create. I've never worked for the county. I couldn't tell you what the morale is like the county, because I won't pretend to say the 50 or 60 employees I've talked to is the general consensus. I know morale has to improve, but I know one thing. This is an amazing place to call home, and I think anybody would be lucky to call Shasta County the place that they raise their family and then work vocationally.
Thank you. Ms. Resner.
Thanks, Jake. I would say culture. I think that culture matters. I could tell you that in our business, that culture matters. It's the reason why it is that we have been fortunate enough to not need to go out and solicit. I can also tell you that paying a competitive wage, offering hiring bonuses, those sort of things, hiring consultants to make sure that we're competitive with the state. But mostly, I think being thankful for people's work. I think that just as much as our community wants to be heard, I think that employees want to be heard. I think that, yes, maybe somebody goes to work at the county because they want a job that is more secure than maybe some other jobs. But I think that somebody goes to work at the county because they deeply care about our community. And I can tell you, in my time on the Children's Legacy Center board and working with every law enforcement leader and attempting to hire for those very particular positions that are able to work within government and outside of government, that paying a competitive wage, but mostly just culture, it matters. People want to be appreciated, and that doesn't always have to come from money. It really doesn't. Sometimes that comes from the leaders of an organization treating them with kindness and telling them thank you for their hard work. There are lots and lots of things that we can do to boost morale, and there are lots of things that we can do that really would bring valuable, talented employees here. But we also have to stop bashing on ourselves on the internet. Because I can tell you in working with the hospitals that it is difficult to recruit people here, because as soon as they Google it, they see all the terrible things that we have to say about each other. And that is not going to benefit us.
Thank you. Ms. Vollmers, you have an additional minute if you'd like.
Thank you. I did not take your question to mean that you were talking about employees for the county. I thought you meant businesses who employ people in the county.
I would say that it's probably both.
Okay.
Yep.
So I didn't reply to that note because I thought you did not mean the county whatsoever. So that's why I said, as a supervisor, I cannot control how people manage their people. But from a perspective of how I would look at it from a point of view for people who work in the county, I think that absolutely, which I've already stated, I have a whole perspective that everyone matters. Everyone matters. So I've worked places. I worked for the DA's office, actually, and I worked there, and I felt like I mattered. And I was a clerk there, and I was super interested. I was in college at the time for administration of justice. And I think that a lot of times people, thank you, their morale goes down because they think that their input doesn't matter and no one is listening to them. So I have an interest always in people and always in perspective, and I have a knack for atmosphere.
Thank you. Mr. Cry.
Yeah, I want to just draw a comparison for the 13 roughly individuals I represent. If you look at them, you can go to valortalentgroup.com and you can see the quality of people they are, how they give back to their community. The one thing and the reason they have me represent them is because I lead with integrity and backbone, and they know I always have their back as long as it's legal, ethical, moral, and spiritually okay. I'm their guy. And one thing people will come to work at Shasta County for is they know, because we know something else is coming. It may not be a pandemic. It may be some electron bomb. I'm just joking. But something else is going to come. And any employee at the county is going to want me in that seat because they know I'm going to fight for them, and I'm going to fight for our liberties and our Constitution.
Thank you. Ms. Resner.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on then. Question 7's order. Mr. Cry, Miss Resner, and Ms. Vollmers. So, to Mr. Cry first. The continued drought has reached a critical stage with the threat of depleted wells, restricted water deliveries, and draconian cutbacks. Related to the drought is the continued threat of wildfires. As a supervisor, how would you address these crises, and what's the role of Shasta County in addressing these threats?
Yeah, the drought situation right now is dire and it's brutal. And anybody that says they have the answers and knows is just dead wrong, because we've never been faced with a situation like this ever. I mean, it is bad. Farmers in Anderson, and granted that's not in District 1, but the people I've talked to, they have no clue what to do. And I got to be honest, when it comes to the water situation, I'm not super studied in that, to be completely transparent, because I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you and tell you I have the answers. But here's what I'll tell you, is between now and January, I can research anything there is, because from what I've learned in 3 or 4 months, it's not going to take long to catch up on that. There's a lady named Nadine Bailey, who I'm actually meeting with next week. She's one of the foremost authority on water in our area, not just in Redding, but in Northern California, Sacramento to the Oregon border. I meet with her next week because I want to learn. So there's my answer.
Thank you. Ms. Resner, 2 minutes.
I currently sit on the Enterprise Groundwater Sustainability Board, and so we have been talking about that for the last year. And I would say that while our groundwater across Shasta County looks really great, it is very difficult, I believe you called it draconian, sort of things that are put down from the state. And so I would like for us to start talking about water storage when we have water, and not only talking about those things when there is a drought. And I think that if we can continue to have those conversations with us and our neighboring counties about what our plan of attack would be, then I think that we can make some forward progress.
Thank you. Ms. Vollmers, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I also think water storage is vital, and it needs to shift to where people are understanding their participation at the state level needs to happen yesterday. I think that it's been something that's been coming for a long time, and the water drought situation, although it feels like, and we know that the rain is not falling from the sky, there's also not been a plan for storage in a proper way in the state for a long time, and I don't believe it's an accident. I think it's the leadership at the state level, and there are a lot of issues with letting water go that we should be keeping, not just here, but all throughout the state. So to work with other people in the state and have a voice as a county unified to continue to support legislative movements that to maybe protect us and situate us in a position where there's some laws that keep us from doing things that need to change. So I think that anything we can do to be more sufficient with our water usage would be vital for step 1.
Thank you. You have an opportunity for a minute. Mr. Cry.
Thank you. What I understand is about 20 or 30 years ago, the assault on our water really happened. And it's eroded over time. And we lost more and more rights because people chose to write letters, and they chose to lobby, and they chose to make deals. Well, guess what? Shasta County now has no water. So just like when the mandates came and water or anything else, any issue that needs somebody with backbone and a voice who can do it articulately, respectfully, but be uncompromised in what we need. So if it's water and it comes to that, we'll be uncompromised because our way of life here in Shasta County, not just our farmers, but our tourism, relies on water. So when that battle needs to be fought, it won't be behind a desk. Guarantee you that.
Thank you. Ms. Resner.
I would just like to know if anybody in the room has ever read the book Cadillac Desert. I knew that Judy Salter had probably read it. Water storage within California, Arizona, Colorado, and Nevada goes all the way back to the 1800s, and it is a long, long battle, and it is far bigger than just our county. And so I think that it is going to take a collaborative effort for someone to go to Sacramento who can get along with others and collaborate with others, because we need people who are going to work with us because it is a long-standing issue.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Vollmers, if you'd like to take advantage of your minute.
I concur.
Fair enough. Thank you.
I could have her minute.
Oh, we're not going to be doing that.
All right.
No horse trading up there. But that said, not tonight. No, we're talking about it. We've come to the part where it's closing remarks time. So each of you will have an opportunity to say what maybe you didn't say before, but some closing thoughts for the group today, knowing that this is an audience that is focused on the business community and the business of the county. So the order will be Ms. Resner, Ms. Vollmers, and Mr. Cry. So, Ms. Resner, 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. First, I really would like to say thank you to all of you who came this evening. You've heard from all three of us, but on June 7th, it's going to be your decision who it is that you want to lead your community. And I'm gonna leave you with this. I've heard it said that while voting, the wisest and most courageous vote is for the candidate that is willing to build a bridge from the community to those in power, a bridge connecting departments and jurisdictions, and a bridge closing the gap between those who disagree. As a member of the Reading City Council and the former mayor, I know what it takes to see real change. District 1 needs a leader dedicated to working families, veterans, businesses, and youth. We need a leader who provides a hands-on approach to bringing the concerns and priorities of the people who live in the district to the full board of supervisors for resolutions, but also for decisions and for resources. We need a leader who is brave and committed, but values decorum and respect. I am that leader. Thanks. In my over 15 years of business, combined with my government experience and years given to nonprofit work, I have a proven track record of being a dynamic leader. I've already built the bridges, and it's time for us to build more. I have the tools, the relationships, the knowledge, and the heart. And I will stop at nothing to fight for a community that my children will be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vollmers, 2 minutes.
Thank you all for being here, and it's something that I'm really passionate about, that people are engaged with politics and engaged in their community for anything that impacts them and impacts their family. So I really appreciate all of you being here. I think that my most proud moment in my life has been that my children have watched me be who I say I am. In every facet that I do and everything that I touch, I am uncompromising. And I have a quick story that I'll share with you instead of telling you what you maybe will find in other resources about me, which would be my website, obviously, or social media. Is that one time I was in a grocery store shopping with my sister, who was in the Army at the time. She came home from boot camp for the first time after she enlisted after high school, and we went to Food Max, Food for Less or whatever, and we were grocery shopping because we imagined that we'd grow up and grocery shop together. And we didn't. We never have. Like, that was the one time in our life. And so we're grocery shopping and the cart is full and we go through the checkout and we're pushing past, like, I've paid and now we're walking out of the store, and I spot a bag of sugar on the bottom of my cart, and I said, oh, dang it. And I grab the bag of sugar and I turn around and I run back inside the store and I set it on the counter and I come back to the cart. And she hugs me around my neck violently. She's very physical. And she is crying and I'm like, what are you so emotional about? And she said, you have integrity. And I've never changed. I've always been that way. And I don't have to be angry in order to implement change. As a parent and as a person in this community, I don't have to be angry to be educated. I don't have to be angry to impact discipline. And being a counterpart in this community doesn't stop and begin when you are involved in politics.
Thank you. Mr. Cry, 2 minutes.
I'm just super thankful that I'm here right now and all of you are as well, because people care. And that's what we need. We need Shasta County to care. There's many of you that I saw door knocking that came, and I'm just thankful for that. We have to get Shasta County back. I got to tell you, like, when I coached, I was more Bobby Knight than Jerry Tarkanian. If you didn't know, Bobby Knight would throw a chair once in a while, and Jerry Tarkanian would sit and chew a towel. Both great coaches, and I could be both. But the thing for me is I'm uncompromised in what has happened to Shasta County. Shasta County we are not better off 4 years than we were 4 years ago. People have opportunities to lead, and then they lead. I've led my entire life, and it doesn't matter in what I've done, whether it's been coaching, military, teaching, my vocation, it doesn't matter. I will be the hero or I will be the goat. I'm okay taking that on. I'm mortified that 4 years ago, when people were running, I wasn't even paying attention. I care. I care more than you'll ever understand and ever imagine. This is a phenomenal place. It doesn't have to be Austin. It doesn't have to be San Francisco or Seattle. Shasta County is special. And this June, we could lose the Shasta County. We're starting to get back, and it's going to go right back to where it was going the last 20 years. Get to know your candidates, get to know their records, get to know what they stand for. But not just stand for when people are listening, but when they stand when it counts. Because something's going to come to this county, and you're going to want me standing on that border protecting you.
Thank you. And to Mr. Cry's point about getting to know the candidates, I'm assuming that all three of you are willing to hang around for a bit and visit with folks who'd like to do so. So please join me in thanking the three of them, Mr. Kevin Cry, Miss Erin Resner, and Miss Kimberly Vollmers, for your courage to run and for participating tonight. I want to remind everyone that the Chamber will be hosting, we're going to be doing this all over again next Wednesday for District 5 Supervisor, 1 week from tonight. So again, we are live on KCNR here from the Sheraton, and we'd like to thank everyone who's been listening and following along at home. Thank you to Carl and Pat and the team, and know that the candidates will be given interviews to KCNR right now, kind of in post-game interview, let's say, but they will certainly make themselves available to you. We hope you'll join us next week. And from all of us at the Reading Chamber of Commerce, Thank you for being here and have a good night.